we're jumping right into a really incredible, honestly almost cinematic story about a guy named Nathan. And look, this isn't about him getting some magical lucky break. It's about a man who fundamentally transformed his entire future, literally just by flipping how he viewed his absolute hardest days. Let's get right into it.
8 a.m. every single morning, exactly at 8, Nathan places this heavy headset over his ears. He takes a deep breath and braces himself for another grueling day of endless complaints. Because this was his reality. Angry voices, constant pressure, pasting on fake smiles, and just complete mental exhaustion. Day in, day out, total strangers are screaming at him for problems he didn't even cause. Some insulted him, others basically treated him like he wasn't even human. And slowly, under the crushing weight of just trying to survive this toxic environment, his confidence and his dreams were just getting buried.
Which brings us to the weight of fear. You see, going up around a lot of financial stress, Nathan was absolutely terrified of being trapped forever in a cycle of survival. Fast forward to the call center, and that childhood nightmare, it's basically coming true. One evening, after a really brutal shift, he overhears some coworkers joking around. One of them goes, "We're basically robots with headsets." Everyone laughs, but for Nathan, man, it was devastating. It hit the nail on the head. He realized survival mode had completely eaten his entire identity. He was terrified because deep down, he knew that joke was entirely true. But then comes the mindset shift. So, picture this. It's after work. Nathan is sitting quietly at this little cafe, just emotionally drained. Out of nowhere, he overhears two businessmen nearby talking about leadership, and this one sentence catches his ear. People who learn communication can change their entire future. Now, what's really interesting about this is how it acted as an immediate wake-up call for him. For years, he thought this call center gig was literally destroying him mentally. But suddenly, he asks himself this massive what-if question. What if his miserable, draining job was actually, secretly, training him? It's a total game changer, a brilliant reframing. Instead of seeing struggle as a punishment, he realizes struggle is preparation. Think about it. Every difficult, screaming customer was actively teaching him patience. Every chaotic, stressful conversation was strengthening his emotional control. He wasn't trapped at all. He was unknowingly developing these highly valuable, high-stakes skills. That very night, Nathan goes home and writes this exact sentence in his notebook. "My current struggle will become my future strength." Simple words, right? But emotionally, they are incredibly powerful. It signaled the quiet return of hope. He officially stopped seeing himself as a victim and started seeing himself as someone in training.
And that kicks off the next phase, rebuilding in silence.
Now, this transformation started painfully slowly. It was all about unrelenting consistency. This became his nightly routine. Instead of just checking out and watching TV after an exhausting shift, he studied public speaking, leadership, psychology, self-discipline, and honestly, it's a lonely process. His coworkers even mocked him for it, like, "Why are you studying communication after talking on the phone all day?" But Nathan refused to stay mentally average. He knew most people just accept average living forever, and he simply wasn't going to do that anymore. But then comes the ultimate test. Just as he's finally getting some traction, life hits him with this massive, unexpected left hook. His dad suddenly loses his job, financial pressure skyrockets instantly, his sleep is completely wrecked, and all those old, toxic, hopeless thoughts come rushing right back. I want you to just pause and sit with this for a second. Will he surrender to the pressure? He's sitting alone in his apartment, financially stressed, emotionally broken, and genuinely wanting to just quit because life felt so completely, stubbornly unfair. This was his breaking point. But right then, He remembers that sentence from the cafe. He taps into that inner strength again and realizes a profound truth. Difficult seasons are temporary, but surrender is permanent. And in that moment, he decides to keep rebuilding himself. Despite the crushing pressure, despite the unfairness of the whole situation, he flat out refused to quit.
Let's move to the real transformation and see how this all builds over time. Over the next 2 years, his progress is just relentless. Looking at this timeline, he goes from a hopeless call center employee on day 1 to spending 2 years actively applying everything he studied at night directly to his day job. He's improving his communication, studying sales psychology, solving problems under insane pressure, and eventually, the external payoff actually arrives. A company manager notices Nathan's consistent, calm professionalism during these really intense situations. A training and team leadership role opens up, and they offer it to him. Even with some lingering insecurities, Nathan trusted his growth, took the job, and attacked it with absolute discipline. So now he's got better income, a great position, a real sense of purpose. But the greatest transformation actually happened internally. The external success was really just a byproduct, you know? The real victory was overcoming those deep-seated insecurities. The guy who used to freeze up out of pure fear was now an emotionally strong leader who was actually inspiring others. Years later, a nervous new employee comes up and asks Nathan how he managed to escape that typical call center burnout. And his answer? It's the absolute emotional climax of this whole journey. He said, "I stopped letting pressure destroy me and started letting it train me." Boom! What a massive paradigm shift. Those painful years he used to hate, they had actually trained him to become stronger.
So what does this mean for us? It means your struggle is preparation.
Let's bring this directly to you. We so often believe that difficult jobs or difficult seasons are just there to destroy our dreams. But the reality of growth, it happens one disciplined habit at a time, one painful lesson at a time, one difficult day at a time. As we've seen in this explainer, difficult environments often secretly build the absolute most powerful skills. You might feel totally mentally exhausted right now. You might feel like life is on repeat, or that the pressure is slowly chipping away at your confidence. But listen to me, your current situation does not permanently define your future. Consistent, silent growth during these tough seasons, it changes absolutely everything in the long run. Which leaves us with this final, vital question. Will you rebuild yourself? Are you going to let the pressure of your current situation destroy you, or will you let it train you? Because I promise you, one day, the discipline you are quietly building right now will transform your entire future. Think about that as we wrap up today's explainer. Thanks so much for joining me, and I'll catch you on the next one.